Hello, this is Alnar from Lily Knits Knitting and Crochet. In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to crochet the diagonal cluster crochet stitch. This stitch uses alternating clusters and double crochet crosses to create a beautiful lacy fabric and is used in my heirloom baby blanket pattern, which I have posted for free on my blog at www.lilyknits.com. The foundation chain for this stitch requires a multiple of 5 plus 3. So to make a foundation chain, you make a slip knot, like so, and attach it to your hook and tighten, and start working your chains. So for a chain, you do a yarn over, insert your hook, and pull it through the loop, yarn over, pull through, and continue on. I'm going to chain 23 because 20 is a multiple of 5 and then add 3. Now that we have our foundation chain, we can start working on our first row. For the first row, we need to make a cluster in the 6th chain from the hook. So we'll count our chains. My first one's really small. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. To make a cluster, you put your yarn over your hook and insert it into the stitch. You pull through a loop to the height of a double crochet, and then you pull through another loop so that you have 2 loops on the hook, and you repeat twice more. So yarn over, pull through, and then pull through so that you have 3 on your hook. And then one more time. You'll see you have 4 stitches on your hook after you complete your cluster, and then you simply just pull through all 4 and the cluster stitch is made. And that's what it should look like. Once we've made our cluster, we chain 1, skip 2 chains, so we skip this one, and we make a double crochet in the next chain. Now, working in front of the double crochet that we just made, we work a double crochet in the 2nd of the skip chain. So not this one, but this one right here. So yarn over. It's a little bit tricky, but once you get the hang of it, it's not too bad. So I'm making my double crochet, and you can see that it looks like an X basically. So we have our cluster, we skip a chain, and then we have our cross. And then we just repeat. So chain 1, and we start our repeat. So skip a chain and make a cluster in the next stitch. Yarn over, so cluster, chain, skip 2, double crochet, and then working in front of the double crochet, in the 2nd skip chain, we make another double crochet. So this is more of an advanced stitch, so if you don't know how to double crochet, I suggest you look up a tutorial or look at one of my more simpler, sorry I'm having issues with the yarn here, one of my more simpler tutorials will go into a little bit more detail for how to do a double crochet. You can see it's a little bit tricky on the first row, but it does get better. And then chain 1 and repeat until you reach the end of the row. Okay, I've reached the end of the row, and you can see I have alternating clusters and crosses going all the way down. At the end, after you work your last cluster, to finish off the first row, you do one chain, and then you skip a chain here and work a double crochet in your last stitch. And that's row 1. So we chain 4 and turn our work and start working on row 2. To begin row 2, we skip our first chain 1 space, which is this one right here, and we work a double crochet in our next chain 1 space. And then working in front of the double crochet that we just made, we work a double crochet in the skipped chain 1 space. And chain 1. And now we begin our repeat. So for our repeat, well actually our repeat begins with that chain 1. We do a cluster in the space between the next 2 double crochets. So what that means is these 2 double crochets right here, the space right in between them, that's where we do it. So right in there, we make a cluster stitch. Cluster is made, so we have a cross and a cluster, and we chain 1, and then we work our double crochet in the next, not in this chain 1 space, we skip this one, but in the next one. So we're working across around this cluster here. So we work in front of that stitch and make another double crochet to make our cross, like so, sorry, right there. And we chain 1, and then we make our next cluster in the space between the next 2 double crochets right here. And we just repeat this right up until the end of the row. I'm now at the end of row 2, and to finish off row 2, you make 1 chain, and then you work a double crochet in the 3rd chain of the turning chain. So you can see your turning chain right here. So it's 1, 2, 3. That's the 3rd chain. So we make our double crochet, and then chain 4, and turn, and that completes row 2. Row 3 is worked much the same way as row 2, except for row 2 we were working across over a cluster, and we begin this row by working a cluster into our first cross. So we start by working a cluster right into the space in between the first 2 double crochets. So our cluster is made, and then we begin our repeat by chaining 1, and then skipping our first chain 1 space and working a double crochet into the next chain 1 space. Working in front of this double crochet that we just made, we work a double crochet into the skipped chain 1 space. Chain 1, work a cluster into the next space in between the next 2 double crochets. And repeat until the end of the row. Now that I'm at the end of row 3, I've finished my last cluster and chained 1, and I just need to make a double crochet in the third chain of the turning chain, just like the end of the row before. So you can see my turning chain right here. That's one. Sorry, my chains aren't very evenly spaced, but it doesn't really matter. In the end, you won't be able to tell. So 1, 2, and then this tiny little one right there. I'm just gonna get my hook right in there. And maybe you're better at chaining than I am. There we go. That's the end of row 3. Chain 4. And just keep repeating rows 2 and 3 to create the diagonal cluster stitch. After working a few rows, you should have something that looks like this. As you can see, it's a really nice, delicate, lacy fabric. Super soft, and I used it for a baby blanket pattern, which you can get from my blog at www.lilyknits.com for free. You can see it's reversible, so that's great for blankets. It could even look really nice for a scarf or a shawl. I think, yeah, definitely for a shawl it would be beautiful. I hope you've enjoyed this video tutorial. If you have, please subscribe to my YouTube channel and give the video a thumbs up. For more free patterns, visit my website at www.lilyknits.com.